Hi, welcome to my final instruction video where we're going to animate the rocket to take the astronaut and the cat back to Earth. We have the cat sprite, we have the astronaut sprite, but we're going to need to add a rocket. So we'll press the plus button on the left hand side for new characters and we're going to choose a rocket. I like this rocket on the left hand side. I'll press tick. But the rocket looks a little bit wrong, so on the left hand side where the rocket is, I'm going to press the paintbrush and I want to turn it around a bit, so I press the rotate button and I can move the rocket around. Then I press the move button and I just move the sprite down a bit. I'm done. I'll press the tick. There we go, there's my rocket. But I don't want it in front of the astronaut, so I'm going to move it over to in front of the Earth. Okay, now we already have our cat saying hi and our astronaut waiting to reply, and then a little bit of a conversation. We already have our cat walking and disappearing. We already have our astronaut walking and disappearing into the rocket. We just need the rocket to go back to Earth. So, how do we want our rocket to be triggered? I think we want our rocket to be triggered when we touch the rocket. So we'll bring our touching trigger down. And I want to have a countdown for my rocket. So I could use speaking high, not high, 5. And then I could have another one for 4. And you could do this for yours, but I think it's a little bit dull. So I'm going to put these away and I'm going to record my own sound. So I'm going to press the green button for adding a sound. The only sound we've got is a pop. And when I touch the rocket and it eventually moves, I don't think the pop is going to quite work either. So we're going to press on the microphone, we're going to record a countdown, and then we're going to blast off. And you can have fun with making your blasting off noise. So here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. I'll press the tick to say that I'm done. Okay, my sound 1 has been recorded. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. Fantastic, although unfortunately my rocket hasn't moved. So, I also want my rocket to move. Do I want it to move right, left, up or down? I think moving left. No, moving up. I think moving up would be a good idea. And I want it to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 squares. I also want my rocket to get smaller, because as it moves away from us, its perspective should get smaller. Let's do 7 as well, and see how that looks. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. Okay, now on all the moon and rocket videos I've ever seen, the rocket tends to move at the same time as the sound's on. So, how can I make the moving happen at the same time as the sound is on. I think I'm going to need another trigger for when I touch it, but I don't want the rocket to take off as soon as I touch it, because then the countdown will be on whilst the rocket is moving. So how can I make the rocket wait? I'll go to my orange blocks and bring down a waiting code block, and I think 10 seconds, no, I think maybe 60. It made that noise because I'd already put in a number. Let's see if this works. So we've got a touching trigger to make a noise, the same touching trigger to make it wait before it starts moving. I'll reset my rocket and see how it goes.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off!
Okay, I think my rocket took off a bit too soon, so I'm going to make it wait a little bit longer. Reset. How does it go now?
5, 4,
the countdown's good.
3,
it's waiting
2,
a nice time.
1. Blast off!
Perfect. However, I think it goes a little too far beyond the moon. So let's make our 7 number. Do we want to make it bigger or smaller? That's right, we want to make it smaller. So let's go, I'm going to go 3 and see how it goes. So let's give it a go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off!
Okay. We want our sprite to disappear when it finally gets to Earth. But before we do that, I think it would be better if our rocket goes up and gets smaller in gradual steps instead of going all the way up and then getting smaller. So I'm going to break my code. I'm going to take off the movement. And I'm going to make the movement only 1. I'm going to make the shrinking only 1, and then I'm going to repeat it for a few times and see how it goes. Now, just so that we don't get bored of listening to my countdown, I'm going to just break that off for a minute and see if my rocket moves a bit more smoothly. We're waiting, and then it should be. That's better. But I think it's still a bit too big, so maybe we'll repeat it a few more times. Reset it. See how it goes. And it's appeared at the bottom. So let's make that only 6. And we'll also make it disappear with my hide. And I'll also put my blast off back together. Let's see how we go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off!
Okay, if we run through the whole thing, on the green flag, we'll have the cat saying hi, the astronauts having a conversation. We will tap our cat and our astronaut to go into our rocket, and then our rocket
Five,
can take our 2
4,
sprites
3, 2,
back to Earth.
1. Blast off!
So you can see the code has to be very specific, and each code runs from left to right, and if you put a repeater in, it repeats the code blocks for as long as you've told it to repeat, and then it goes on to the next thing after the repeater. You can do as many things as you like, starting with the same trigger, like I've got my sound and my movement happening on the same trigger. And there we go. I'm sure there's other interesting things that you and your child can do with your animation. If you wanted, you could add a second screen. Maybe we could have the rocket flying around in space. So we'd have to get rid of our cat and add in a rocket. Maybe this small one flying around. We could add other animations in, getting bigger, getting smaller, giving it the feeling of coming towards and going away from us. If you can think of some exciting ways to animate your rocket, maybe you could have your astronaut appearing on a spacewalk and going back into your rocket, making him appear, get bigger, get smaller, and hide again to show him getting back into the rocket. I think that would be a really good exercise to do with your child. Really practice putting the code blocks together in the right sequence. We could start with the green flag trigger. We could start with the touching trigger. And then we could use the movement triggers to move him either left across the screen, right across the screen. We could make the astronaut get bigger or get smaller, but eventually we would need him to hide as he got back into the rocket, and then the rocket could carry on going. See if you can animate your rocket and your astronaut doing something exciting in space before they get to Earth. You can always upload your video or email it to me at school. I would love to see you and your child's progress. That's all for now.